Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about my favorite films that I watched in 2019, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through my book. I keep this journal where I write down any film that I watch and like the date I watch it, and I separate it by month. So if I don't remember the name of a film and I remember kind of when I watched it, I can go find the film and what I thought about it because I write down any notes about what I liked in the film or anything like that. I'm going to tell you what movies were my favorite for each month of 2019. So in January I watched probably like 15 movies. I watched The Karate Kid, which was pretty good. I had never seen it before, and I like that style of film. It's funny, and those characters are so good. I watched some of the second Karate Kid and the third one, but the first one is still my favorite. Next, I also watched Beautiful Boy, which I have a video on that, and that movie is so good. I think it's an Amazon Prime original. I recommend watching that with Timothée Chalamet and Steve Carell. That film is so good. It tells a story of a drug addict and his father, and how his father tries to help him through it, but all the struggles that the boy is facing. Even though he has the support of his father, the drugs take control of him, and it's really hard for him to overcome it. Another film I watched is The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, and I honestly love those Spider-Mans. I like those stories. I think personally I like the character of Andrew Spider-Man. Tom Holland's Spider-Man is great in Marvel. It fits well with the other characters, but I also like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man too. I think it's great in its own way, and even though he's very different, I also like that character. Speaking of Andrew Garfield, I also watched Silence, which I'm pretty sure is directed by Scorsese, and it's a film with Adam Driver, and this tells the story of these, I think, monks who are trying to spread religion in a place where people are punished and they have a hard life. And this story is very complex, and it can be very gory and sad. So this is a very heavy film that it definitely shocked me, and it gave me a very new perspective. Two more great films I watched in January were Hacksaw Ridge, which also stars Andrew Garfield. Can you tell that like once I watch an actor and I really like them, I look up different films by them? This film is really great. It's about war and it's gory, but it tells a story of a hero and bravery. It's incredible. Then I watched The Accountant, which is Ben Affleck. I also have a video on this, and this story tells the story of a guy who has some struggles ever since childhood, and this movie tells the story of where those struggles make him end up, how everything that he experienced as a child led to him where he is today, both good and bad. In February I watched probably like 10 movies. My favorite film for this month, oh my god, I watched so many good films this month. I watched Southpaw, which that stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Such a good film. It is sad, but the story of the bond between the father and the daughter is incredible. I also watched McFarland USA, which I'm pretty sure is a Disney movie, and it tells the story of these runners from this town that no one thought would win any race, and they end up being so successful and beating other schools because they are hard workers because of how their family raised them, and it's just an incredible story to watch. Moving on to March. In March I watched probably 12 films. Okay, so one of the best films I watched this month was Point Break, and this stars Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. This movie tells the story of a policeman and a surfer, and how the policeman becomes a surfer to try to catch the criminals. Very important story. You should watch it. Then I watched Beauty and the Beast, the one with Emma Watson. I really like that film, even though I don't like musicals. Triple Frontier, which is, I'm pretty sure, only available on Netflix. And this has so many good people in it. The one I remember right now is Ben Affleck. And it tells the story of these guys who will risk everything for money. And the story comments on greed and the balancing act of greed and like family, and which one would you rather have, greedy and have money, or have your family and be safe? And it's about what risks they are willing to take to get their hands on all of this money. This month I watched Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and I actually like, is this the second one or is this the first one? I like the second Fantastic Beasts better than the first one. I'm not sure if this is the first one or the second one. I also watched Bohemian Rhapsody with Rami Malek. So good. It tells the story of Freddie Mercury and his band Queen, and how it came to be and how it ended. Donnie Darko, I also talked about this in another video. This movie also stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Has appearances from Patrick Swayze and Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is Jake's sister. This is a story that you should definitely watch if you want something creepy, but also well thought out and a mystery. It's good on so many different levels. Well, it's such a good idea for a movie. Okay, so in April, I watched the second Fantastic Beasts, Crime of Grindelwald. I really liked that film. Like I said, I liked it better than the first Fantastic Beasts, but Harry Potter films are still better than Fantastic Beasts in my opinion. I also watched Call Me By Your Name with Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer, and that film, another one that you really should watch. It is rated R. I think, what's his name, Luca, the filmmaker. The way that film is shot just makes you follow the characters, and it doesn't even look like you're watching a movie. It's just like you're just watching these people live, and the acting is great, the storytelling is great, and it's just an unbelievable film. And a lot of times when movies are hyped up, I'm like, I watch the movie and I'm like, that wasn't that special, but this movie is special. It's so special. Okay, so I watched this movie. This is a really special movie. It is a sad movie, but I feel like I can relate to different characters in different ways to this film. It's called Another Happy Day, and it has Ezra Miller in it. I really like this film. It can be sad, but I feel like if people are going through a hard time, this film can make you feel less alone, because these characters in this story are going through a hard time, and sometimes when you're going through a rough spot, it makes you feel better knowing that you're not alone and you're not the only one experiencing it. So this movie is sad, but it can make you feel like you're not alone. I also watched Safe House and Woman in Gold, which both star Ryan Reynolds, and he's a really good actor. Those movies were both good. I also watched Crazy Rich Asians. Did I say raisins? Asians for the first time. It was really funny, and that wedding scene made me cry so much. I probably watched it online so many times after I watched the movie. I just looked up the wedding scene and it made me cry every single time. The set for that wedding scene is just unbelievable. Whoever did that, I hope they won an award. Okay, so in May, I watched BlacKkKlansman, which I'm pretty sure is directed by Spike Lee. That was a really good film. I think it also has Adam Driver in it. I watched Endgame, Avengers Endgame. I'm not sure if I watched it. Is that when it came out? Oh my god, Endgame. I gotta make a whole video on that. That is just too much to talk about right now. The Shawshank Redemption, that's a really good film. So good. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That's a great film too. Tells the story of an ordinary guy who starts saying yes to things and unbelievable things happen. So I watched The Intern. I'm pretty sure this is the one with Anne Hathaway. What's that guy's name? I'll put it on the screen. But anyway, this film I really liked. I think it was heartwarming whenever you see like a friendship develop that you wouldn't think would develop, and it's so naturally, it's not forced. This film was really beautiful. I watched The Outsiders, and I had seen The Outsiders before, but I hadn't seen it in a while, and I rewatched it, and I'm so happy I did. That movie is so good. It has Ralph Macchio and Patrick Swayze. I forget the name of the main kid, but the film is sad, but it tells a story of friendship, and it's beautiful. Okay, moving on to June. I probably saw around 10 movies this month. I watched Won't You Be My Neighbor, which is a story about Mr. Rogers, and I saw it on Amazon, and it tells the story of him, and it's different than the one that Tom Hanks just was in. It actually shows videos of actual Mr. Rogers and people he actually knew talking about him. It made me cry. It's so happy and sad at the same time. I watched this movie called Ideal Home, and it stars Paul Rudd, and it's just a funny film. I don't remember much else except that it is really funny. Source Code is also a good movie. Stars Jake Gyllenhaal. It is more like a mystery, and it can be sad at times, but it's a movie that I like to call puzzle piece movies, where they have pieces throughout and you have to put the pieces together instead of the characters telling the audience exactly what they mean. You need to figure it out for yourself. I also watched What's Eating Gilbert Grape for the first time this month. That movie is so good. If you have not seen it, I recommend watching it. It has Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, great acting, great story. Probably will make you cry. It made me cry. Okay, in July I was busy, so I didn't watch many movies. I was probably outside, less inside. My movie I want to mention for this month is Forrest Gump, which I watched for the first time, and it was on an airplane, and it was so good. I watched it on my way back from Italy, and I cried in the airplane because it's just incredible. And I'm pretty sure you've seen this movie, but if you haven't, I recommend watching it. It's so good. Okay, in August I didn't watch many films. The one I want to mention is We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and that I know it stars Sebastian Stan, and I can't say her name, her first name, but her last name's Farmiga. I'll put it on the screen. And the other person, I know she's from Percy Jackson. I'll put her name on the screen too. This film was really good. And it's based on a book. I wanted to read the book because the story of the movie is so good. And I'm surprised it didn't get more attention because it's just a really good story and the characters are complex. And I really liked watching it. Okay, so on to September. This month I didn't watch many films because I was also busy. So the things I want to talk about, Stranger Things. I watched all the seasons of Stranger Things. They're incredible, but you probably already know that. Second, I watched 10 Things I Hate About You starring Heath Ledger and I forget the girl's name, but I'll put it on the screen. I'm so bad with names, but this movie was so good and it wasn't cheesy. I thought it was really heartwarming and really touching and it was so nice. Another thing, I watched Baby Driver, which stars Ansel Elgort and a bunch of other people. John Hamm is also in it. It blends beautiful cinema with also incredible music, and the music follows the story so well. So incredible, so creative. In October, I was watching a lot of movies for world cinema. One of the films that I watched was Umberto D, which is an Italian neorealism film. It's black and white. It's pretty old. It's by De Sica and I liked it, but if you're used to normal films, like modern day films, you will find it boring. But if you learn to find the beauty in the small things and the reason for the different storytelling strategy, I think you will appreciate it. But it's also black and white, so keep that in mind. In November, I watched the brilliant film of Patterson. I'm pretty sure it's directed by Jim Jarmusch and it stars Adam Driver. And it tells the story of a poet who doesn't really share his writing with anyone except his wife, but he rarely even shares his writing with her, and it's just a beautiful story that I think you should watch. The main character is a bus driver for New Jersey Transit. On the surface, it might seem like a very simple story. It might seem boring about our everyday person where no superheroes are involved, but find the beauty in the small details and you will really like this film so much like I did. Okay, so last month is December. This month I watched It Chapter 2 and it was great. I actually liked it better than the first one. I thought it was scarier than the first one. The storytelling strategy is still really great and I like how even though it's like a scary movie, like the images on screen are so beautiful, which is so weird to say because it's a horror film, but even in the first film, it's so beautiful, and it's so weird to say that because it's a scary movie, but the director just did a great job and the acting is great too. This month, some of my other favorite movies, I watched Gifted, which I made a video about that, which was Chris Evans and McKenna Grace, which is the younger version of Captain Marvel, and this story is just beautiful. Some of my other favorite films, I watched Polar Express, and Polar Express, I never realized the intricate details of Polar Express and how it is such an incredible story that I never realized. I never put the pieces together, but it definitely tells more than just a kid's story. There's so much going on in that film that is so easy to miss if you don't pay attention to the little details, like how Tom Hanks plays multiple characters. That all has a meaning and it's just brilliant. So those are the films that I watched in 2019. I didn't mention all of them. I mentioned some of the ones that I would recommend the most and the ones I found to be most important and recognizable. Those are my films. I hope you like watching this video. I didn't go into detail about the descriptions of the films because I thought that would be boring. I just wanted to mention ones that were highlighted in my book because I figured if I really liked them, then I should mention them to you. But if I didn't really like them, then I don't really want to talk about them. Hopefully you'll watch some of these films or look them up to see which ones interest you, because I know sometimes it's hard to find a good film or hard to even find like a name of one because there's so many out there that you just don't know where to start. There's so many to watch. So sometimes if someone can recommend to me like 5, then I can look them all up and see which one is kind of my vibe and then I could watch it. So that's what I hope this video would be, just to introduce you to some movies so you can hear the names, look up a few and see if you'd be interested in watching any of them. So yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to watch more videos on films or anything like that, I upload videos on so many different things on all my interests. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Bye. I like them apples.